The tension inside Parliament was unmistakable. Mark Carney had just returned from Washington after going toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and everyone in the chamber could feel it. Across the aisle, Pierre Poilievre was poised for a fight. But this wasn't the same Carney who left Ottawa a week ago. He was sharper, calmer, unshakable, and when he finally rose to speak, he didn't just answer his critics. He owned the room.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we'll go soft on him today because I know he's still recovering from surgery to have his elbows removed. Remember that promise, Mr. Speaker? Dancing around with his elbows in the air. We haven't seen those elbows since the election, after which $54 billion of investment gone to the United States. 86,000 jobs gone. American tariffs on Canada doubled. And as to the best deal in the world, why is it then we have the best deal that Canada has the fastest shrinking economy in the G7 and 86,000 people are without a job?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Okay. All right. Mr. Speaker, there are three things that are true. First is, I realized long before the Leader of the Opposition, long before the last election, you remember the last election? Long before the last election, that our relationship with the United States would never again be what it was. Secondly, thing that is true is we have the best deal with the Americans. And the third thing that's true is we will get an even better deal because we
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians do remember the last election where that Prime Minister promised to put elbows up. It was not a promise, it was the promise that he ran on. Now those elbows have come down, the American tariffs have doubled, we have by far the weakest economy in the G7, 86,000 people have lost their jobs, and the Prime Minister went pathetically to the White House to offer a $1 trillion gift, bowing before the President in weakness. $1 trillion, Mr. Speaker. Speaking of the last election, where in his platform did he promise to give $1 trillion of our investment dollars to the Americans?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to inform the Leader of the Opposition that there is a thing called the private sector. The private sector makes decisions about investment. The private sector does the best deal in the world. We'll invest in this country and we will build Canada strong.
In a heated Parliament exchange, Pierre Poilievre mocked Prime Minister Mark Carney for abandoning his elbows-up campaign slogan, accusing him of weakness after $54 billion in investment and 86,000 jobs were lost to the U.S. and tariffs. Doubled, he painted Carney's trip to Washington as bowing to Donald Trump with $1 trillion gift. Carney fired back calmly, saying Canada's relationship with the U.S. had evolved and that the country now holds the best deal in the world. He reminded Poilievre, the minded Poilievre, that the private sector drives investment, not politics. The clash captured their divide. Poilievre's fury. Populism versus Carney's steady, pragmatic leadership.
Well, we now know why the U.S. President wanted this Prime Minister in power so badly. A weak leader whose high taxes and anti-development laws are sending billions of dollars and thousands of jobs out of this country. 86,000 jobs lost. And yesterday, the Prime Minister promised the President that he would increase Canadian investment in the U.S. by $1 trillion if he gets the agreement that he expects to get. Mr. Speaker, in exchange for $1 trillion of job losses in Canada, will he at least get an end to the U.S. auto tariffs that are killing jobs for our workers in Ontario?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have the best deal in the world with the Americans. First point. Second point, the President of the United States and myself had a meeting of minds yesterday with respect to the future of the steel sector, the aluminum sector, the energy sector in cooperation, which is why our teams are negotiating the terms of those deals. And we are working, as the President himself said in the Oval Office, on the modalities of an auto agreement.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he just confirmed he's selling out our auto workers. And let me tell him what it means when investment leaves this country, because he was forced a record amount out in his 7 months in power. The 700 workers at the GM plant who lost their jobs in Oshawa, they can tell him about investment that is left. They're sitting around the dinner table wondering how they're going to pay their bills while GM announces $4 billion of new investment south of the border. So while the Prime Minister promises yet another $1 trillion gift to President Trump, why doesn't he look them at those workers in the eye and explain to them why he betrayed them?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is doing for the auto sector is an unprecedented investment in the Canadian auto sector. We look the Canadian auto workers in the eye. We have $5 billion in the Strategic Response Fund. We have $10 billion for liquidity management. We have worker retraining. We are striking deals with countries around the world. We have the best deal already with the Americans, and it will be even better.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
In a tense parliamentary clash, Pierre Poilievre accused Prime Minister Mark Carney of betraying Canadian workers by driving billions in investment and 86,000 jobs to the U.S., calling his recent visit to Washington a $1 trillion gift to Trump. Carney pushed back, saying Canada already has the best trade deal in the world and is strengthening ties in steel, energy, and autos. He highlighted billions in investments and worker retraining, portraying his approach as rebuilding Canada, not selling it out. The exchange captured the core divide. Poilievre's
why President Trump wanted this Prime Minister to win so much, so he would be against a weak leader whose tax and anti-development policies are driving billions of dollars in jobs to the United States. Yesterday, the Prime Minister promised President Trump $1 trillion of investment in the coming years if we get the deal we want. That is investment that will leave Canada, driving mines and paper mills and factories out of Canada, leaving families without work. Why didn't the Prime Minister negotiate an end to the softwood lumber tariffs instead of offering this gift? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Things aren't getting off to an auspicious start today. Okay, the Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is another moment to give a little economic lesson to the Leader of the Opposition. The Canadian and American economies are closely aligned, and I gave such a lesson to the President of the U.S. yesterday. I said that what is at risk is Canadian investment into the United States if we do not get a real detail. We will get a deal, however, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he could certainly give lessons on driving investment out of Canada and into the United States, because he has already managed to drive $54 billion worth of investment into the United States. This killed 86,000 jobs. Households are suffering from this. People are sitting around the dinner table wondering how they are going to pay their bills. And since this prime minister took power, American softwood lumber tariffs have doubled. Here's the question. After giving the Americans a $54 billion gift, has he negotiated an end to the softwood lumber tariffs? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the current situation is as follows. We have the best agreement with the Americans in the world. We are still negotiating further gains in major sectors, including softwood lumber, and we will only accept the best deal on softwood lumber.
In a fierce exchange in Parliament, Pierre Poilievre accused Prime Minister Mark Carney of being weak on trade and too accommodating toward President Trump, arguing that his tax policies and environmental restrictions had driven billions in investment and tens of thousands of jobs to the United States. Poilievre mocked Carney's trillion-dollar investment pledge as a gift to Washington, while Canadian industries like softwood lumber continued to face heavy tariffs and layoffs. Carney, calm and deliberate, dismissed the attacks as political posturing, explaining that the Canadian and U.S. economies are deeply connected and that his government is working toward a stronger, fairer deal that protects national interests. He defended his strategy as pragmatic diplomacy, not surrender, emphasizing that Canada already holds the best agreement in the world and will only settle for better. The moment highlighted the sharp divide between Poilievre's populist outrage and Carney's composed, statesmanlike approach to global trade and leadership.